Saffron skies raise the blazing sun. A chance encounter, awkward displays. One day, my love, we'd be as one. Above us beaming as we run down that aisle, a fervent craze. That day, my love, we became as one. Now, you lie here, the life in you gone, in the dark outside of her rays. Crimson skies bear the torch, our sun. Today, my love, we'll be as one. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. If you guys didn't know, recently I made a video where we went over and into the world of the SCP Foundation. We looked at some very unique different SCPs that time, and in that video I mentioned that at the end, the next time we go over SCPs we would be looking at none other than SCP-001. Specifically the When Day Breaks entry. Now, one important thing to mention is that When Day Breaks is one specific entry among the many list of fake SCP-001 entries that you can find on the wiki. We gotta remember that 001 doesn't have an official like proper one entry of what it is. It's an entity shrouded in mystery, something that the Foundation has been looking at for a very long time. But the reason I specifically chose When Day Breaks' entry is because even in the past, if you were to tell me about 001, my immediate thought would be the When Day Breaks entry. I feel like that's the most popular one that I've heard about, especially from me as well. So that's why I chose to look deep into that one. So today, essentially we are going to be going over the When Day Breaks SD Logs proposal of 001. However, the more we get into this, the more we find out that there is something even deeper, which not only reveals to us what 001 When Day Breaks is, but also on a grander scale can give us a lot of info on what 001 in general could be, specifically its identity. And as you'll find out later on, I may have accidentally come up with a theory on who 001 or what 001 truly is. So honestly guys, there's a lot to go through in this. So, get your notebooks, get your thinking caps on. We are going to be going down the rabbit hole of 001. And without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy. So, last stream, we ended off by looking at 001, and then we get sent to this page. The following files have been classified top secret by order of the administrator. General notice to 001 Alpha. In order to prevent knowledge of 001 from being leaked, several/no false SCP-001 files have been created alongside the true files. All files concerning the nature of 001, including the decoys, are protected by a mimetic kill agent designed to immediately cause cardiac arrest in any non-authorized personnel attempting to access the file. Revealing the true natures of 001 to the general public is cause for execution, except as required under redacted. So immediately we get trolled. We can't look at 001. So it's so bad, right? There has to be a reason why they don't want us to look at 001, because it's somehow that bad that it's super duper classified. What's very interesting though too is that even the false files, so the other renditions of 001, it's so interesting that even the false files for 001 are also classified, which is very interesting because they could easily, you know, the Foundation could easily, right, mess with people's minds by always giving each person a different rendition of 001 instead of giving When Day Breaks. However, even the false files have been classified, right, as top secret. They really don't want you to see SCP-001, so much so that they would do a memetic kill agent, which supposedly is like a cyber virus. Memetic kill agent activated. Continued life signs confirmed. Removing safety interlocks. And then what we have here, look at that, it's changing. Whoa. And then what we have here is a list of different fake SCP-001s which are put on the wiki page. Some of these entries have their own like little like websites and stuff. That's so cool, man. That's so cool. That's awesome. Ah! Look at that. SD lock when day breaks. Now, okay, so... And this is what we're going to be looking at. Because this is the official 001, right? Whoa. Pause. That's a crazy statement to say after I literally said at the start of the video that there is no official 001. And there is no official 001. I think I must have been very excited when I said that. However, I do try and justify my point. And the reason I'm going to keep this in is because it may link to what we'll talk about way later on in the video. I tried to sort of piece together a little mini theory on When Day Breaks before we even got into it at all, to be honest, but I guess, hear me out? But you could argue that this got leaked. What if 001 When Day Breaks is a proper, like, leak of what the official real one is? And when it comes to the SCP Foundation too, I read on the About Me page as well, is that nothing is canon. So, like, we could theorize all we want to as to what we think the real... It could be a very interesting thing, right? That all of these entries, one of these entries that we have, okay, is the real one, is the real deal. One of them could be the real one out of all of these, and it could very well be SD Lock's proposal. It could be, and the other ones are just to hide that it got leaked. Exactly. Exactly! Yes, Kay! All of these, they're done to hide the real one, right? I could absolutely, especially since we're dealing with like the SCP Foundation, right? There could absolutely be someone in the Foundation that is a whistleblower and decides to leak classified information about 001. From my understanding, SCP-001 are a collective of proposals for 001, considering it's pretty important being the first file. So there isn't an official 001. There isn't an official one, but there's no reason why we can't decide and debate on which one could be the official one. It's very interesting that the first proposal for 001 is a freaking sheaf of papers stapled together in the top left corner. What if one of those papers contains information? Okay, I'm gonna stop now. Our main goal though today, chat, for today's stream, is that we are going to be looking at SD Lock's proposal of 001. And in my headcanon, you can disagree with me all you want, okay? But in my headcanon, we're gonna see if truly this proposal here could be the true 001. It's just a theory at the end of the day, and it's just what I think could be the truth. So I kind of did read a little bit of this beforehand, like last stream, but we'll do it again for those of you guys who weren't there that time. We'll go into it again. You find the access tunnel hidden within a natural cave a mile off the main road. You don't need the key card, the door is ajar. It smells here. It smells like them. Hopefully, they've moved on. You've come so far already, you can't turn back now. There is a slick trail that leads from the cave entrance and into the depths of the site. If it's blood or shit, or something that's smeared off of one of those things, you cannot tell. You make a point to avoid it. You're still receiving the distress signal. It only started broadcasting yesterday. Whoever it is, you pray they're still alive. Your footsteps echo throughout the empty corridors. Each footfall sounds for all the world like a dozen, as if you're not treading through the dark alone. Elevator is down, so you take the stairs, ending on floor B5, Keter Holding. So this is taking place on the Foundation site, most definitely. Okay. You pass several empty containment chambers. The horrors they once held are long gone. If you're lucky, the trail takes you to an office branching off the main hall. The source of the signal. The door is cracked open but stuck. You plant your feet, push with all your might. Source of the signal, so someone here is locating a signal. And when we read this last time, and as the more we read this entry, it's definitely set in a time where like the apocalypse has happened, clearly, because I will get into this because that's kind of related to what this entry is about. When day breaks, something skitters out of one of the rooms to your left and around the corner before you get a good look at it. Your first thought is dog. Woof woof. It was on the ceiling though. You take refuge in the room, slam the door behind you. It's dark here. You're safe. You take off your jacket and head wrap. It'd be a damn shame to die from something like hypothermia after all that's happened. The sole operating emergency light rotates in its casing, casting a pale orange glow across the room every other second. As if the room itself had a pulse. There's shelving haphazardly placed behind the door. A barricade. You scan the room. Soiled clothes, half-eaten food. Despite the presence of an adjoining restroom, there is excrement in a bucket in the corner. A pneumatic chamber on the northern wall would have been delivering consumables to the occupant. The trail terminates in the corner of the room, forming a sick puddle. You spot 3 pharmacy bottles. Further inspection reveals them to be various opioids. They're all empty. There's a desk with a computer on top of it. Approaching the terminal, you can clearly see the blinking light of the power button. You take a seat and turn it on. Emergency protocol activated, clearance level, safeguards removed, full access granted. Loading, 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 loading. You hear footsteps just outside the door. Every first step comes down heavy. The second drags behind it. Loading, 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 loading. Authenticating. A dark shape blots out the light streaming in through the slit between the floor and the doorway. Authenticating. Authenticating. You tense up, waiting with bated breath, praying it will pass. You damn the deafening thumping of your heart for betraying your position. Please wait. Please wait. Please wait. The shadow recedes. You breathe a sigh of relief, just as the screen comes to life. Opening file. Automated Secure System Notification Code 235. There has been an error in retrieving the current iteration of the SCP-001 file. You are currently reviewing revision number 3. Newer revisions can be accessed at the bottom of this page. Wait, interesting, this says audio file. Is there actually an audio file attached here? And then we get this. So this is when day breaks. This is the picture. Whenever you search when day breaks, that's the picture that you guys are gonna probably be seeing every time you search it. This is when we're gonna start to get all of the different entries related to when day breaks specifically, because it looks like we have this. Oh god, we have all of this. And then we have an incident report. We have an this one has an attachment. And then it just keeps going. Shit, chat, we've got a lot to look at. We have a lot to look at. Right, get yourselves ready. Get your popcorn ready. Get your snacks ready. I have no snacks. I just have water. So rip me. Yeah, so as you can see, this one is classed Apollyon. And also, you kind of, from the word Apollyon, can kind of get the word apocalyptic in there. So it kind of makes sense that, you know, these are SCPs with that class that can cause the end of the world. And from what I know, When Day Breaks kind of does that, which obviously we'll be reading about. Let's start reading these entries on When Day Breaks now. Again, there's a lot to look at, so here we go. SCP-001. Object Class Apollyon. Special Containment Procedures. Due to its nature, SCP-001 cannot be contained. Survivors of the SCP-001 event, stationed within secure facilities, are to remain in contact with one another. Personnel are encouraged to attempt to reach Site 5. Footnote 1. Personnel are to be reminded that there is no Site 5. Wait, what? Oh, it doesn't exist anymore because of everything? Damn. Site 19. Oh, okay, they changed it afterwards, okay. Personnel are encouraged to attempt to reach Site 19 by any means at their disposal. Personnel with knowledge as to the whereabouts of the O5 Council are to relay this information to the administrator. Okay, so I've also seen this before mentioned, O5 Council. What is the O5 Council? Are those like the masterminds of the Foundation? Does anyone know? So like, we have the O5 Council, and then we have the Administrator, who I'm guessing is the head of the Foundation. But then we have this O5 Council. I wonder if that's like an even more deeply secret organization that oversees everything, maybe? So it's like different branches of power in the facility or the administration. Good thing we have this official wiki where we can actually search things. So O5 Council. Do we have an official like page on it? Okay. When I searched up O5 Council, I got this. O5 Command Dossier. Hello and welcome, friend. Needless to say, you're not supposed to be viewing these files. I say, take a chance. You've come this far. Some of the following information is true, some of it is false, even ridiculous. Sometimes I know for sure, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll lie. It doesn't matter. Whatever I've told you here, someone else believes it, and belief has power. Realize also that the O5 Council might not even exist. Oh my god, there's so much to this universe. There's so much. It's like hard to know where to begin. Right. The O5 Council, O5 Command, the Overseers, Overwatch. The video game Overwatch? These are the people who have ultimate control over the Foundation. Okay, so yeah, that answers my question. Got it. Each O5 member knows almost everything there is to know about the Foundation and its activities. Between them all, they know every single secret that the Foundation holds. Most Foundation personnel spend their entire careers without seeing them. Members below clearance level 2 don't even know they exist. Most people outside the Foundation have never heard of them, or don't think they are real. Oh, and then there's the Administrator. So what does the administrator do? The administrator's role within the SCP Foundation is often nebulous, but they always seem to have played a role in the organization's founding, and are credited with writing the mission statement. Consistently associated with the SCP-262, these things at least seem to be true, at least assuming the administrator exists. Also, if you're highlighting the black blank author on the first part, you get the Black Queen. Wait, where? Whoa, wait, that's kind of sick. What? Wait, is the Black Queen one of the members? Guys, this is so in-depth, my goodness. Okay, but yeah, essentially, O5 Council. Now, O5 Council, right, they could probably, and they probably do know what the real 001 is. Survivors attempting to travel outdoors must fully cover their bodies in protective clothing, preferably several layers. Travel by foot should be limited as much as possible. Cities and man-made structures in general provide the greatest protection. Formerly wooded areas should be circumvented. Travel by air is preferable above all other methods. Personnel exposed to 001 are to be considered lost. Compromised personnel are to be abandoned. Euthanization is not to be attempted. Oh my god, I thought it was gonna say euthanize them. Oh my goodness, that's dark. Collective instances of 001A that are of formidable size are to be avoided at all costs. Conductive electrical weapons have proven partially effective at immobilizing instances and may be used for self-defense. Incendiary weapons work as well. Cryonic munitions are the most effective thus far. Testing has revealed that SCP-001-A is relatively safe to consume. Oh, you can consume it? This is only to be considered as a last resort in the absence of other options. 001-A may reconstitute within the digestive system. Only small portions should be consumed at a time to prevent blockage. You can consume 001-A, but then it grows inside your digestive system. That sounds gross, what the flip? Personnel stationed at Site-19 are to pursue research concerning off-world colonization. Shuttles must be constructed as to not allow light to penetrate the interior. So yeah, it's the idea, isn't it, that the sunlight is evil, right? That's the whole thing with 001 when day breaks. To those of you with families, or God forbid, children, I'm deeply, deeply sorry. You must push on. Do not let their deaths be in vain. We do still have time. Humanity may still have a future. Come to Site-19. We need all the hands we can get. Learn to embrace the darkness, friends. Fear the light. The Administrator. Oh, that is so, like, scary to think about. Site-19, is the guy that is going to the place, is he also going to Site-19? Is this guy that we read about here going to Site-19? So you take the set, ending on floor B5, Kita Holding. It doesn't say which site they're at. Right, and then here's the proper description. SCP-001 is the designation given to the Sun after an event on system error, data lost, resulting in 6.8 billion casualties within the first 24 hours. This event has been categorized as an XK Delta Class solar singularity scenario. Oh. It's either Site 19 or maybe Site 5 before it disappeared. Well, again, we gotta remember, this guy that's entering the facility here is clearly entering after SCP-001 when day breaks did its thing. My idea is that this guy is entering Site 19, because then by that time, Site 19, Site 5 wouldn't have existed by then, according to the documents. Also, look at the administrator's notices. So this message must have been like sometime after the event. And so to any survivors that were still around, they're asking them to, hey, go to Site 19. Okay, so that's very interesting. So SCP-001 is the sun. It is essentially the sun. You know, that we always see every day when we wake up, right? But it seems like what triggered... something triggered the sun to then do this solar singularity event. After an event on system error data loss, contact system... After... okay, so hold on. So it was an event that caused the sun to do this. But the way it, like, is worded here... I'm going very specific on this. The way it's worded. After an event on. Does it mean an event on the sun? Or like something else that then somehow triggered the sun to do this? So like, you could think so many things about that. We could go to the classic idea that scientists were doing something. Something happened. And then boom, the sun is evil. You could even argue that this could have been a Foundation born SCP, that the Foundation was working on something, an accident happened, because again, the Foundation, from what I remember too, is that they have their top scientists, they're doing research as well on all of these SCPs. A research accident could have happened in the Foundation, and then boom, the sun is evil, right? That's what's so cool about this, is that you can think so much, you can theorize so much as to what you guys think could happen. Something could have happened inside the sun. You know, you could argue that, okay, we as humans or the Foundation had no role, and that instead, just something happened inside the sun which caused it to happen, or caused it to do this. You could think so much, right? Right, let's read on. So, the SCP-001 effect does not seem to result from exposure to ultraviolet rays, but rather light in the visual spectrum. The effect is similarly present in moonlight. So it affects you even at night. It's literally the light of the sun. It's light itself in the visual spectrum that is dangerous. Like, how do you bypass that? Like how? That's terrifying. Upon contact with visible light produced by the sun, living organisms liquefy at the point of contact, with the effect spreading until the entire organism is converted. Visually, this is reminiscent of melting wax. The time this takes is largely dependent on the level of exposure and size of the organism. Despite this reconstructing, at no point do living organisms perish. That is awful. So you basically, if you get hit by the sun's rays, if you go outside, you basically just melt. So from what happens, and for what we're reading here, the light of the sun will melt you. See, this is why I don't touch grass. This is why, see, not touching grass has a benefit. And it is that I don't die. Is it never-ending hell? It is, yeah. Because again, we as humans on planet Earth, we cannot technically survive without the sun and its light source. Oh, the way they describe it too, living organisms liquefy. You're literally melting. And you don't actually fully die, because it says here, at no point do living organisms perish. And I believe that's what 001A is then, right? Upon completion, these organisms, 001A, take on a gelatinous consistency. Motile organisms will attempt to orient themselves in a fashion reminiscent of their previous form, to varying degrees of success. Ugh. So like, so basically you will melt, right? But then you will try to get your form back? Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get your form back. Like, nah. Like, that is disgustingly horrifying. Flora typically remain physically inert, yet are still capable of photosynthesis, and still produce oxygen. Organisms capable of flight lose the ability to do so. Fauna remain sentient and display behavior that parallels their non-anomalous counterparts when not absorbed into a collective instance. Humans retain a modicum of sapience and memory. Oh, so like you don't, as a human, you don't fully die. You just become a fleshy, meaty slime creature that still has memories and a brain, and that's your life. Very interesting too, it has different effects on different organisms. So birds, or like people who can fly, or people, or animals that can fly, they just lose the ability to do so. Fauna remains sentient and display behavior that parallels their non-anomalous counterparts when not absorbed into collective instance. Flora typically remains inert, yet are still capable of photosynthesis. So, not everything melts. So it has different unique effects depending on which organism it affects. And for humans, you just melt into a slime. Due to their composition, instances of 001A that make contact with one another may combine and blend at the molecular level. You can... Oh my god, it's like you're a cell, or like a parasite, or like an amoeba. You can combine with each other. Oh, this really borders into that, like, level of just body horror and just a massive flesh monster. You can... It's like the idea of, like, becoming whole, you know? Like, imagine the whole of the entirety of humanity. Yeah, you can get even bigger. Like, just a massive... Like, that is a human flesh pit. Like, that is a human flesh pit right there. You could make a human flesh pit with that. This does not seem to cause any pain or distress to the instances, though the resulting bulk can inhibit movement. Since the SCP-001 event, most instances have congregated in such collectives, which seem to possess no maximum volume. The resulting biomass is amorphous and chaotic. Biomass, like... Ugh. The component organisms will shift between a full to semi-liquid state. Limbs and bodies will rise periodically from within the mass for a short duration before deteriorating and being subsumed by another life form. Open attached file audio log. It's very interesting too, because this is like clearly this thing. So yeah, revision 3 out of 12, updated 1312 days ago. After the event, is it referring to? So yeah, this is obviously written after, you know, when day breaks happened and humanity just died. So clearly some people still survived 001 to tell the tale. Right. So you have an audio log here. Access granted. A harsh static leashes out of the speakers when you open the file. It disturbs the stillness of the room, catches you off guard, and quickens your heart pace. There's some handling noise at the recorder just as the recorder adjusts their microphone. A brief moment of silence passes, and then... This is Dr. Logan Igota, level 3 researcher. There's a quiver in her voice that betrays her attempts at professionalism. She pauses, takes a long breath, and continues. Due to Site-46's possession of several communicable info hazards, we have been cut off from the rest of the network under Blackout Protocol. As such, I'll be updating this as we come across new information. On the bright side, we are actually still receiving transmissions from a few sites. A good number of personnel have made it, it seems. Some are planning to make a break for 19. Some are trying to fight the dash, as some, like us, are simply biding their time. Our site is sealed for the first time. We're not ready for the journey. At least, not yet. So again, this is also like clearly sometime after the human melting phenomenon happened. She sighs. We experienced a containment breach a few days ago. One of the higher maintenance humanoids broke loose. Son of a bitch compromised containment on half a dozen Ketas. Compromised containment on half a dozen Ketas and ran off. Now that is what you call SCP containment breach, guys. What? And they're all Kita class as well? They didn't make it more than 5 feet from the tunnels before collapsing in a soup. I watched it play out on the cams. It didn't take long for them to get back up before collapsing in a soup. Oh. So some SCP or someone did a containment breach, which left all of the SCPs in Kita to run out, or most of them, half a dozen. And then as they stepped out, they see the sunlight, they melt into a gelatinous soup. But then they said it didn't take long for them to get back up. Maybe SCP-001 affects other SCPs in specific ways too, or like in specific manners. She stops again, mutters to herself incomprehensibly, before you hear the unmistakable sound of a match strike. She exhales audibly. Much better. Not exactly a designated smoke area, but what the hell, right? She clears her throat. Commander Anand suited up and went down to town on them the next day, tried to drive them off. It didn't turn out very well, poor bastard. But we did learn a thing or two, at least. Pauses, exhales. There's only a few of us left here. I'm holed up in one of the offices. Jerry and Director Phillips are somewhere in the barracks. Clyde and a few Ds locked themselves in the armory with Ari. I should see how she's doing. She trails off for a moment before you hear the buzz of radio chatter. Hey hun, how are you holding up down there? A voice responds, a man with an exaggerated mocking tone. I'm doing just fine, poopsiekins. I want you to know I love you bunches. Heh. Bruh. Okay, really? Really made me say the poopsiekins and the I love you. Logan shoots back. Who? Knock it off and put her on. Damn it. I need to speak with her. There's a clamor on the other end while the radio changes hands. A soft voice calls out, concerned. Babe, what's wrong? Logan responds. Oh, is that the girl? Is that, the doctor speaking there? Logan responds, nothing. Pauses, exhale. I just wanted to check in real quick. Ari pleads. I'm fine, babe, really, I can take care of myself. A creak. Logan shifts in her seat. No, I know that. I can't help it, though. I know coming here was never easy for you. Pauses, exhale. Logan continues. And with everything going on, Ari interrupts her. Hey, you tell me you quit smoking. There's a ruckus as a Gota presumably attempts to snuff her cigarette. So a Gota is the one that is the lady that we hear. Yeah. Logan a Gota. Okay. So again, all these people are just like in their own places right now as, you know, we have an apocalyptic sun making people into monsters. So it's like a Fallout situation where everyone is like in their own, you know, end of world bunkers right now. Ari doesn't sound convinced. I don't think I'm the one you need to worry about. I'm staying clean. I haven't even thought of touching amnestics in months. Trust me. Anyway, since you're wondering, I'm fine. The guys are sitting around playing cards. I'm tucked in the corner with my notebook. You can practically hear a Gota smiling as she jokes. Sweetheart, penning a sonnet about my undying... Okay, these guys are just having love with each other. End of the world lovers just doing their thing. And that's all of us. Everyone else was either topside during the event, or they were killed in the breach. Director's orders are to stay put. Keep an eye on the cams, both in and around the facility. We've got the 001 skips beating at our front door, and God knows what else locked in here with us. We still have electricity. We should for quite some time, and the place is stocked with enough supplies to last the site a couple of years. We're going to be fine for now. Pauses, exhale. Everything's going to be fine. She waits a beat before ending the transmission. Okay, so from that, I can definitely tell that, yeah, we as MC here in this situation are going to be looking through these different entries of people who are surviving through this apocalyptic world where 001, the sun, has basically just killed everyone, or mostly. So this is just a full-on, like, end of the world story with what we have here. So what did we learn from that first event? I actually learned quite a few different things from that. The sun wasn't always bad, obviously, but that an event occurred either inside the sun, related to the sun, something that could have been indirect at first sight, but then somehow affected the sun to do all this. I think this point here is where you can really do a lot of deep diving with theories. But somehow it was an effect that resulted in 6.8 billion casualties. Wild. In that too, in the first 24 hours. Like, you have to imagine in your head right now, like, what happened that caused all this? Like, obviously, people melt. That's what the SCP does. It causes you to literally melt into a flesh slime, which you can then, like, combined with other flesh slimes to make a massive flesh monster. Like, ugh. It's that sort of scenario that we have. Okay, so now we have revision 5 out of 12. Some of these revisions are missing too, which is interesting. I wonder what those could have said. But now this next revision, 5 out of 12, was updated 1200 days ago. Approximately 1200 days ago. That stuff stays the same. Current breach description. And now we have an open and attached file with this one. So this isn't an audio log. We have an attached file now. Interesting. Incident report 001.1. Access granted. They've just been sitting out there this entire time, calling out to us, begging for us to come outside. I believe they're referring to 001A. The noises drew in more of them. There's this one mass that I'm sure must have a few dozen people, and God knows how many animals roiling around inside it. Screams and bleats and screeches and howls non-stop, louder than all hell. The worst ones make this disgusting moaning like they're actually enjoying it. They're not going to leave us so long as they know we're down here. We managed to talk to one of the Ds into going out. See if he couldn't draw them away. Okay, so one of the Ds, I wonder if this is referring then to, because they mentioned different people being stationed in different places. Clyde. So I wonder if this is Clyde here, because Clyde is with a few D-class. So this is D-class personnel, chat, which is what they send out to deal with SCP sometimes, or to experiment with. He was surprisingly okay with the plan. All he asked for was a gun and a single round. He made it out there, and one got a hold of him, tried to get his mask off. Oh yeah, you probably need like protective gear to like prevent sunlight affecting you. Although, does such protective gear exist to prevent sunlight affecting you? Would a hazmat suit work? I can imagine so many people just going outside with sunglasses at that point to like not get sunlight affecting them. He managed to work the pistol up beneath his chin in time, got it off. I figured he was lucky. After he felt limp though, it kept working at his suit, pried off the hood, poured itself inside, began tearing it off of him from within. Oh. Rip D personnel there. Rip them. That's a really bad way to go. Like, so they got the mask off, pried off the hood, the way it describes itself, poured itself inside, began tearing it off of him from within. I can imagine how that would look like from an outside perspective. Yeah, that's like a classic, I feel like, horror movie death right there. He came back, started changing, dripping out of the suit and screaming and screaming and screaming. They won't even let us die. That's the scary part of this, chat, is that, again, when you transform into SCP-001A, this fleshy, like, slime thing, melted because of the sun, you don't die. That's the scary part of this. It's basically a zombie. You turn into a slime zombie. The director has a plan. There's an escape tunnel hidden in his office. Tram under the site will take us to a safe house. We should be able to start towards 19 from here. Okay, so everyone is just needing to go to Site 19 at the moment. You know, mentions of the O5 Council. They mentioned the O5 Council. earlier. Like, what would these individuals be doing right now in this situation, right? Like, you know what? You could even theorize. Right? Maybe the O5 Council did something which triggered the event that caused Death Sun to happen. You could even theorize that. There could be so many possibilities. This is so interesting. I love this so far. I hope you guys are liking this too, because this is very interesting. Okay, so that was revision 5, a little bit more quicker. So again, this is also, the more we read, the more we, come to understand how the Foundation, it looks like, we're able to sort of deal with this apocalyptic situation. So now this is revision 8, updated 1200 days ago. So this is actually 2 days after this. Very soon. Open attached file. Video file. Oh, you know what would have been so cool, chat, if we actually had, like, actual videos of this. This is scary. This SCP is truly evil and scary with what it does. Zombie, like, flesh monsters caused by the sun's rays. Right, let's continue reading this. You see her for the first time. So we're looking at a video log here. You see her for the first time. Dr. Igota is seated where you are right now. Oh, okay, so this is someone, the doctor was clearly in the same room that our MC is in right now. So Dr. Igota is seated where you are right now. She has a pained look. Her eyes are bloodshot. A large, wet, red-black blotch has formed on her breast pocket. What? Oh! I wonder as well then that with these, like, zombies, with these, like, flesh zombie slime things, 001A, I wonder if it's also a situation where it's like, you can get infected, and then you can also then turn into this creature, right? Not only does the sun's rays do it, but you can also have, contact with an already infected or, like, turned into 001A patient or someone. Oh, it's giving that vibe now, that it's not spreadable just from the sun's rays, but it's spreadable via contact, possibly, or through some sort of bacterium or virus or something. And now it's forming on Dr. Igota. She draws a shuddering breath, parts her lips as if to speak, and stops herself. She bows her head and cries silently. After a minute, she manages to choke out. The tunnel flowed in through the ceiling, dragging them into the light and ripping off their clothes. And yeah, so, like, again, the idea that these things can, like, recombine with other 001A instances, they can form this massive flesh monster. I could visualize this right now as, like, a massive, like, flesh tentacle almost with limbs pulling people into the light. Oh my god. That's terrifying. That is insane. Again, someone animate that. Animators, go crazy with this. I want to see this. She reaches into her breast pocket and withdraws a finger. The glint of a wedding ring is visible above the severed portion. She holds it close, in cupped hands, and runs a thumb across the glimmering band. She sits like this for an eternity, whispering apology after apology, begging forgiveness, lost in the moment. She looks up after some time. There's a look of realization when she sees she's still recording, before she places the digit back in her pocket. She leans forward as if to turn off the camera when a radio crackles to life. It broadcasts white noise for a few seconds, and then a voice that sets you on edge. Logan? It's Ari, almost. Her voice has taken on the disgusting, gurgling tone characteristic of the affected. Logan's jaw drops. What little color that was left in her face drains. It speaks out again. Where are you? Why can't I get back inside? Are you there? That's my impression of how they would sound like, because I would absolutely expect them. If you are someone who is melting into nothing but a flesh monster, I'm gonna keep saying flesh monster, zombie flesh monster, that's all I can think of. Zombie flesh slime zombie? Like, I'm gonna be saying that a lot today. You guys are gonna get tired of that voice. Oh no, it got her boyfriend. Oh no, it's a friend maybe? Oh no! They were lesbians! They were no! This is so sad. Wait. Not on Pride Month? No! Stop! My heart is breaking! Logan rummages beneath the desk for a moment and produces a handheld radio. Her hands are shaking. The thing implores her. Its inhumane speech curdles your stomach. Babe, it's alright. I'm alright. Really. It's a bright, sunny day, and you're just wasting away down there. Logan is in tears, her finger hovering just above the call button. The Ari thing draws a deep, wet breath and speaks. Such a beautiful, clear, blue sky. Just like that day. Do you remember, babe? This is evil. Oh my god. This is awful, dude. Oh, like, imagine you're just in a situation with your loved one. Again, this is just like those apocalyptic stories. Isn't that like isn't this just like The Last of Us? Isn't The Last of Us like set in an apocalyptic world with heartbreaking stuff happening? Logan withdraws a cigarette with her free hand, followed by a pack of matches. Her shaking thwarts the first two attempts to light it. She swears silently, 3rd time's the charm, and she inhales a quarter of it in a single drag. The Ari thing continues. It was so perfect. Everything was how I'd always dreamt it would be. You planned exquisitely. I'd never felt so in love. You even had the band play our song. It starts singing. Guys, I can't sing. Golden days, in the sunshine of a happy youth. Logan begins rocking back and forth in her chair. Golden days, in the sunshine of a happy youth. Logan hurls the radio across the room. It smashes somewhere off camera. It's still somewhat operational. You can still hear the thing singing. More voices join in chorus as the radio slowly loses life. A few, a dozen, then more. A golden days, In our hearts we remember them, all else above. Days of youth and love. I'm not even, guys, I'm not singing this. I'm just narrating this. I cannot sing. They continue singing until the radio mercifully dies. Logan rushes out of her chair, and you can hear her vomiting off the screen. The video films the empty seat for several minutes before she returns to the end. Turns to end the feed. This is dark. This is so much dark than I thought it would be. Very interesting too. This moment here, where like it's sort like again when the light rays melt you, you don't die. You have your conscious, but it's like, and from this scenario here where, you know, Ari is like turned into the thing now, she describes, oh, they're outside in the sun, you know, she's like singing, trying to, you know, remember some memories of old times, and there's like a bunch of them around. Again, it's that idea. It takes me back to when we were looking at the Tower of Babel and how the tower makes animals into robotic servants. It's giving that sort of the same vibe here, with the idea that when the sun melts these people, they turn into these things, and it sort of like puts them together in a hive mind to coerce people to go outside to the sun, right? Ari here could have easily may have convinced Logan, or tried to convince Logan, to go outside and face 001. I feel like it's sort of that idea again, the hive mind idea, that it just makes this, and it kind of makes sense too because of the idea that, you know, all of these aberrations can then also clump together into this massive flesh pit monster. But yeah, I sort of got that idea as I was reading this here, that it sort of coerces people to just face the sun and just live in it forever. Loki reminds me of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream a bit. Yes, I can see where you're getting at, Joss. Spoilers for I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I see that idea, with the idea at the end of that story when Am turns our MC into an unimaginable fleshy type monster. With the whole no die thing, yes, that too actually, yeah, I see that, with the idea that you can't die. It's like the whole of the planet gets overrun with 001A, these aberrations of 001A. And again, it all goes back to that idea. Designation given to the sun after an event on something something something, resulting in 6.8 billion casualties within the first 24 hours. One single event that we will probably never ever know about has caused the sun to do this. We cannot survive without the sun. But now it's such a scary scenario that the very thing that keeps us alive is now the thing which is killing people and turning them into these monsters. That is awful. That truly is a terrifying apocalyptic scenario. Okay, but then what happens is we have this bit here, which is something isn't right. I think we're going to go back to our MC now here, who's watching all of this stuff just like us. A lingering paranoid sensation washes over you. You're being watched. You defensively dart your eyes about, though they take a second to adjust to the darkness beyond the monitor. The emergency light sweeps across the room, stretching and twisting the shadows beyond recognition. That's when you spot it. There in the corner, coming out of the puddle, time slows to a halt. A pair of hands coated in the lustrous black slime you followed through the facility, are on either side of the sickening pool, as if something beneath the floor is bracing itself, trying to lift itself up. Something inhumane. The head comes next, rising from the muck. Matted hair conceals its face, plastered over it by the mystery fluid. It turns in your direction. It stares at you from the corner, which once again falls into darkness. The emergency light continues its journey across the room. It washes over the puddle again, revealing nothing out of the ordinary. Creepy! Okay, but what do we think, chat? Do we think that this is clearly our MC now looking at 001A in the room with them, but do we think that this could be Logan? Could this be Logan? Could she, again, she had like a black stain in like her breast cup. Again, the idea that this thing also could be infecting you somehow, because if you yourself haven't gone outside, then the only other way that you'd get infected is if it is somehow communicable by some form of contact or through the air that maybe 001A produces. Like that's even more terrifying and scary. So it could be her. But let's continue reading. So this is revision 912, updated 986 days ago. So that stays the same. What is this now? We have an information collapsed. Open attachment. Okay, so we have an attachment. Dr. Igota appears on the monitor. She's lost weight. Her eyes are bloodshot and wide. On the table before her lay a knife, a bowl, and a stack of manila envelopes filled with yellowing pages. Atop this stack is a blood-stained parchment. Despite the things we have to deal with here at the Foundation, I've always believed we would be able to maintain control. We would hold the darkness at bay, let mankind flourish in the light. Site 19 stopped broadcasting last month. It's been getting harder and harder to find a reason to keep going, especially without. She grabs the knife, contemplates it for a moment. Trigger warning, please, for suicide. God damn, it's even gone to this point. This SCP, this is so brutal. I keep going over it again and again in my mind. That day back in the tunnels. Everything that happened. I've gone down there a few times, if only to hear her voice again. But it's wrong. That thing on the other side of the door, it isn't her. Not anymore. It sounds like her. It knows everything she knew. But it's not her. This light, it takes your body. It steals your mind. But what about your soul? With this, she slices into the palm of her left hand and winces. You watch her clench her fist, draining her blood into the bowl. If this works, if I can bring back something the light couldn't reach, I'll post an update here. For now, signing off. Oh my god, what? Why did she do that? Wait, I'm confused on this part here. She slices the palm of her hand. She slices the knife into the palm of her hand and winces. And she drains the blood into the bowl. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of sounds like a ritual, no? I don't know why, I get cult ritual vibes from that. Like, what is you draining blood into a bowl gonna do? I think she's that slime monster from the previous thing, it's gotta be. But I don't understand, what is this with her putting blood into a bowl? If this works, if I can bring something the light couldn't reach, I'll post an update here. I feel like that's such a specific action to do, is to just cut your arm like that. I don't know why, that last part there definitely has caught me off guard. That's all I'm gonna say. Because I feel like that's out of nowhere. If she wanted to end it, she could have done that. Instead, she just slices the palm of her hand and drains some blood. Again, I don't know. I really don't know where this is going or what she has planned. Right. So that's that. Now we have this. Revision 4847. Error. Updated 985 days ago. That is literally the next day. Oh shit. Item. Hurts. Object. Apologize. Special containment procedures. SCP-001 should not be contained. What did I say earlier about a hive mind and convincing it that it's okay? Survivors of the SCP-001 event, stationed within secure facilities, can never truly be with one another. Personnel are encouraged to get over themselves and stop thinking they know better. You can't hide down here forever, love. Personnel exposed to SCP-001 aren't people you can just abandon. I didn't ask for you to save me. It wasn't your choice to make. Euthanization is not to be attempted. It's Ari talking? Yeah, I feel like this has now corrupted the file itself now. With either, you could either see this as Ari infecting it, or you could even argue, if we want to go even crazier, that this is SCP-001 itself writing all this right now, because it's trying to get into the mind of people, right? Convincing people that it's not a bad thing. Again, we don't know how crazy the power of the sun's light rays are, other than just melting people. Conductive electrical weapons, why? Have proven partially effective at mobilizing instances. You couldn't stand seeing me better off? Oh, this is so cool. It's like parts of the file are just corrupted with like extra notes and annotations now. Incendiary weapons tickle. Cryonic munitions are the most effective thus far. Personnel stationed at Site 19 have no regrets. Neither did I. It's never too late, babe. Okay, this is more in the sense with Arya speaking, but again, the idea of a massive hive mind, it's a collective of 001As and 001 just coercing us at the moment. Description: 001 is the designation given to the sun after we finally became free. This would have said after an event on. Now it says after we became free. The effects are instantaneous, resulting in release from all suffering until you ripped me away. These changes seem scary, I know. Despite this restructuring, at no point will you die, I promise. Due to their composition, instances of 001A that make contact with one another may combine and blend and finally exist. This does not cause any pain. Since the 001 event, most instances have congregated into such collectives, which seem to possess no maximum blah 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 blah. Don't be afraid. The resulting biomass is beautiful. The component organisms will shift in and over and around and through and in and out and in and out and in. Limbs and bodies, never letting go. All as one. Wait, what? This footnote took me to a random SCP. SCP-045. Hold on, let me continue reading this and then I'll... All as one, before deteriorating and being subsumed by another life form. Collective instances will locomote by just trying to get close to you again. Trying so hard. Let me in. Let me go back. Yeah, let me read what this is. SCP-475. So, over here it said, all as one. I press the 1 and it takes me here. SCP-475. Safe. What's like containment lock and storage? To prevent religious groups of interest from learning of the object's existence. 475 is to follow, okay. 475 is an ornate sculpture of soap depicting an unidentified pope. Inscribed at the base of the statue is the phrase, cleanliness is next to godliness. All accumulated foreign contaminants are removed. So it's like a master soap. Okay. I'm like proofreading this at the moment. Hold on. How does that... How does this link with everything that's going on though? I don't understand. I'm just trying to see if there's any mention of 001. There is no mention of 001 in this. Found how it links? It's about the Scarlet King. You think this is part of the... Oh my god, it keeps going. What on earth? I feel like this is a bit too far ahead, guys. Somewhere in the tests with subjects you can see one that says Children of the Scarlet King. Okay, but that's a different iteration of 001 though. Oh, so subject's religion, Children of the Scarlet King. Water transmuted into blood. Subject underwent a series of transformations, turning into What? It is at this point that I would say things begin to get a little juicy with this whole tale, because, again, we have this random link to a different SCP entry, and when we read through it, we get information related to Children of the Scarlet King. And again, the Scarlet King is a different 001 entry added to the wiki. What's further interesting is that they also mention in that entry about blood. And I want you guys to go back to the video file of when our MC in the story of When Day Breaks sees Dr. Agota pour her blood into a bowl. When I immediately read that part of the story, my mind immediately said ritual, cult ritual, something related in that sort of fashion and style. Because again, why else would you just pour blood into a bowl if not for some sort of offering maybe, or as a form of sacrifice? It's very suspicious, and it's a very weird thing because I feel like it was something that came out of nowhere. We're living in this apocalyptic time. We're watching as Dr. Agota, maybe starts to go insane from the situation that she finds herself in. But then suddenly out of nowhere, we have her with some, yellowed papers by her side, a blood red parchment also, and then she has a bowl in which she uses a knife to pour her blood into a bowl. It's very sus. It's very sus. And again, this may be related to Children of the Scarlet King. Children of the Scarlet King, according to the experiments done with SCP-475, that it may be a paraligion, aka maybe even a cult. And if that is the case, then we have a link here between what's going on in the When Day Breaks story and something related to the Scarlet King. And there is our first link with how all of this may tie together with SCP's existence as a whole. But again, we don't know if it's concrete. Obviously, it's just a theory at the end of the day. It's just a little insight I believe I had at the time. But you'll see later on that there may be, again, much more to this, and the idea that When Day Breaks encompasses all of the entries of 001 possibly. Again, just a little bit of a mini theory on that part. But yeah, very peculiar. Okay, I'm very confused. But I'm going to keep reading. Seems like a very big outlier. Right. There's a video file attached. Opening it, you see that it presents the room you're in. The feed seems to be coming from one of the security cameras. Up in the corner of the room, it's dark, but you can just make out Dr. Igota laying on a pile of laundry along the far wall. She's writing in her sleep. She seems tormented, hurt. She's tossing and turning and mumbling nonsense words. The camera shakes. It lifts upwards for a moment before it focuses on her again. It starts moving closer, slowly. The speakers come to life, picking up an airy, breathy static. As the camera moves closer to the doctor, it becomes clearer, crisper. The camera is moving to her. It's not merely white noise, but dozens, hundreds of voices whispering unintelligibly over each other. You lean in, press your ear almost against the speaker, trying to discern what it is that's being said. Something strange stands out amidst the discordance. Are you paying attention? This next bit is just for you. To me or to... okay. You're not quite sure what to make of it though. Looking back at the monitor, the camera has come to a halt, inches away from the sleeping doctor. The voices stop. There is no sound. A hand, black and oily and skeletal, reaches out for her, brushes away a lock of hair. Her eyes shoot open. She recoils in shock. The feed cuts out. That is so creepy! What the hell? Again, I would love to see that in like a video, like an actual video footage of that happening. I'm not sure if I'm remembering right or not, but I believe 001 is called the Scarlet King in some iterations. Not sure if it's in this one though. Yes, there is an iteration of 001 being called the Scarlet King. We've actually already seen that, earlier mentioned. But yeah, that's a whole other proposal, though. But then again, what do we think, guys? Like, do you think some entries of 001 link with each other? Could you argue that? Because we get linked to a random site for this SCP, which then mentions Children of the Scarlet King, which looks like it's its own like cult. We haven't read the Scarlet King yet, which is maybe like a cult related to the actual titular Scarlet King. What is the link? You know what? I'm actually going to search up this. Hold on. Daybreak. Daybreak. Artwork of the Apocalypse. Oh, we saw this. Yes. Banger art right here. See, this is what we need to get like a better context of what people think this would look like. That's cool. That looks terrifying. Oh, look at that. Flesh monster. Mm-hmm. Yup. 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 Either way, I'm very confused as to why that was linked. But can I also just say, RIP Dr. Igota. I think she's done for, guys. A hand reaches out from the darkness, pulls her in. Did one of those creatures get into the room? Oh shit, that is creepy. Okay, now we have... This is the last revision. Updated 1 day ago. File recovered from previous revision. Information collapsed. Access granted. Dr. Igota appears before you on the screen, looking even worse for wear than she did previously. Her hair is thinning, with large swaths appearing absent from the middle of her head. If they weren't reflecting the soft glow of the monitor, you would have assumed she no longer had eyes, for how deep they recessed into her skull. She stares ahead, unblinking. She won't stop. She won't go away. I know I didn't. No, I didn't pick up an info hazard browsing the archives. Tested myself for SCP-8673 infection. Negative. SCP-9189 is the only other one that uses print as a vector. Can't be that. I still have all my fingers. Okay, so are there SCPs that infect you? Looks like it. So she definitely thinks that she's infected with something. Again, I think, my theory is that the infection, or like the idea of people turning into flesh monsters, can also be infected to you through other means. Her lips crack into a broken grin. She lets out a weak laugh and displays her trembling hands. What appears to be the mostly skeletal remains of a finger is embedded into the flesh of her left hand. In the stump that would have supported her natural ring finger, 2 wedding bands loosely encircle the digit, laying atop one another. So I'm not infected. I'm not. I'm not crazy. I know. What did I say? Ritual. What did I say? I know the ritual worked. I know it's really her. It's her, and she... Something catches her attention off screen. She cocks her head, listening. Okay, this is huge! Whoa! So there is a ritual involved. Something catches her off screen. She cocks her head, listening. No, I can't. You're not. Not you. Not the same. No, not you. It's not you anymore. No. She begins rubbing her temples, repeating herself over and over again. A minute passes. She snaps her head back up and addresses the camera. It's her, but it's not. What I brought back. Still a part of one. There's no way. No way out. No way. There's no hope for a future for me. And God, I can't go on like this any longer. I'll be safe here. The light can't reach me. I won't let it take me. She brandishes a handgun. Was planning on using this till I found some leftover meds. Don't want to risk calling attention to myself, to my body. She opens the desk drawer and deposits the firearm. She raises her gaze, stares into the camera. Mom? Dad? Ari? I'm sorry. She reaches forward and ends the recording. Damn! That is so... That is awful. This is heartbreaking. Dude, this is... Oh my god. So yeah, she was like, yeah, I ain't turning into a flesh monster with no free will and still a conscious mind. I'm just ending my life. Like, oh my god. And again, just trigger warning for this, guys. Oh. But again, what is so interesting about this is what I mentioned earlier. Ritual. She was doing a ritual when she hit the knife on the hand and blood was dripping in the bowl. I called it. I've seen a lot of horror media. When I know that a bowl, when blood is going into a bowl, it can't be a normal thing. It's got to be a ritual. Which now begs the question, what was the ritual? Maybe that is the link to this. Right? Because was this their way of bringing us to attention to the ritual? Because it's related to the soap bar SCP, that's related to working on religions or religious people in some way. We have another instance, we have another iteration of SCP-001 mentioning the Scarlet King. This is clearly some sort of cult. In my opinion, this could be referring to here. Okay, but you see, now here's the thing. Do we now think that this may now give much better context as to why the Foundation not only doesn't want us to know what the real 001 is, but they also don't want us to know the false 001s? Do we think that this is a lie? That all of these entries, or at least some of these entries, some specific ones of these entries, all link back together? Like, now that we've gotten a reference to another SCP in this document, which then references another SCP, which references a religion related to Scarlet King, which is a reference of another 001 reference. Guys, I hope you guys are still hanging in there with me. If it's doing that, could there be some links to each, or at least some of these submissions, which is why the Foundation doesn't want us to see the false other iterations? Because now, guys, I am starting to see a link between when day breaks, Scarlet King, because if you think of Scarlet King, the color, what color is Scarlet? Scarlet is red, right? Scarlet is red, okay? And look at SCP-001. What do we see? We see a sun, which is producing a blood red sky, which is turning humans into these bloodied, fleshy, melted monsters, which in most artist depictions are in the color red. I think there's a link here. Oh my god, this is incredible. I am loving this. I'm loving this right now, deep diving into it. I think it matches. What if Children of the Scarlet King were SCP-001-A? Honestly, I'd have to look more into Scarlet King in a bit more detail. Actually, hold on. Could we do this quickly? Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Blood. Blood. Phase 1, blood. What did she do? What did she do? What did Logan do for the ritual? She put blood in a bowl. Dude, this is insane. This is insane. Guys, I am having the time of my life going over these right now. We still haven't finished all of these. So that was the last thing we see of Logan, Dr. Logan. RIP Dr. Logan. We don't know what the final result of the ritual was. She says it worked, though. I know the ritual worked. That's horrible. Did it have to end like that? Wait, you open the drawer and pull out the gun. You absent-mindedly turn it over in your hands for a moment, wondering where you'll go from here. Site 17, 64. Surely you can't be all that's left. The computer dings. There's been an update to the file. An update. Okay, hold on. Before we do that, what does it mean by you? Umbra. Wait, what? Wait, guys! Look! I clicked it and it mentions this. SCP-001, designation given to the sun after event caused its early collapse by approximately... Wait, hold on. 001 is the designation given to the sun after an event caused its early collapse by approximately 5 billion years. What? That is not mentioned in the original file. This goes even deeper. Left. May the sun never set on the British Empire. So many links. Hold on. Let me read this. Again. Let me read this. So we pressed Umbra. They're referring to our MC who's reading all these stuff. And I press U, and it takes us to this page. Umbra. Project Thormiel. Tormiel? Umbra. But that's very interesting. Wait, okay, we're gonna quickly try and read this then. Right, Umbra. His shallow breath staggered as he rifled through the crumpled documents. The terminal beside him printed a pile of papers. From the 25th to the 24th page, his eyes darted through, skimming the contents before moving to the next. Cast in darkness, from light which shone through the cracks in the walls, he sat. Even the interior of Site 19 wasn't safe from the Harbinger of Death. Yet even Harbinger of Death. Sights, light shining through. This is referencing When Day Breaks. This is referencing that. Yet even amidst the chaos that roamed outside, there was nothing but silence. The screams, which once pierced the warm air, were gone. Only he was left. 1312, he lamented to himself, encapsulated in a gathering of emotions. He couldn't tell what was authentic and what was self-pity. A state of confusion. He took a breath of air to calm his nerves. It didn't do much. Despite this, he flipped through the pages like a mindless being dedicated to one command, like a robot stuck in eternal servitude. Like the things roaming outside. He had to. He felt obligated to. He had to do the others justice. Everything was on him. That slight sliver of hope he was given when the others had said they'd found the answer kept him going. His broken mind still barely running. He could practically hear the whispers of those who gave him hope. A minute, which felt like an entire hour, passed before he reached the end. The final document. His eyes skimmed the top of the paper, to the middle, to the end. Yet he couldn't find what he was looking for. The file was supposed to update. He looked again and again from the top of the pile of papers to the document he was just on, but there was nothing. Where was the update? Did he grab the wrong iteration? Where are the answers? You have one new message. He quickly put the papers down, moving his hands across the table to reach the mouse. He clicked on the notification. A 001 file has been updated. View the updated content. His hands hovered over the message for a few seconds before clicking the link. Again though, yeah, this Umbra guy. This is again referencing the idea that when day breaks has already been unleashed onto the world. Description: SCP-001 is the designation given to the Sun after an event caused its early collapse by approximately 5 billion years. That is not mentioned at all in this entry. This entry to the Sun after an event on Redacted. That is some new information, chat, and that is very interesting. So we still don't know what the event was, but we know what it did. And so it caused its early collapse by approximately 5 billion years. Okay, but see, here's the thing. If the Sun collapses, chat, which, by the way, in real life, that's gonna happen, if you guys didn't know. In real life, the Sun is going to collapse and die one day. It's a star. Stars die all the time in the universe. But what happened was somehow an event happened which caused its early collapse. And just to let you know, when the Sun is going to collapse, it's going to explode. And that destruction would destroy the solar system. And again, a lot of the stuff in the SCP universe isn't always canon, but it still adds to a very convincing and very interesting sort of timeline or sort of theory to this all. So now we know, according to this page, the event that happened but then caused this to happen to the Sun. So we now know that something indirectly, whether that have happened in the Sun or not, had caused the Sun to collapse. Now, I don't know if it means that it's caused its early collapse. So it says early collapse by approximately 5 billion years. Because I'm pretty sure scientists believe that in 6 billion years, or in 5 billion years maybe, it will collapse. So I don't know if this means that the Sun is already dead by the time this happens, or the Sun is like very close to the end of its life cycle. Either way, very interesting. I still haven't finished reading this. So Suddenly, his giggles pierced the silence, giggles which slowly turned into laughter, laughter which slowly descended into madness. This wasn't the outcome he expected. Wait. Do we think our dude Umbra here caused this event? That's insane. He slammed the desk with his fist, cracking the wood as dust flew into his eyes. He slammed the desk again, and again, and again, until his hand bloodied. Then he stopped. His arms drooped down, his body slumped in his chair. His head looked up. He sat in this position for the next minutes. The passing time felt like an eternity. He stood up. Slowly, he struggled as his legs started moving away from the desk. He could feel the hands of the many that counted on him, that believed in that slight sliver of hope. The terrifyingly warm hands which pulled on his legs as he approached the door. But it wasn't his fault that the world died. He walked towards the door of his once barricaded office. His hand passed the light shining through the window. But he didn't mind. It wasn't his fault after all. So why should the lives of others matter? They placed their lives on him. But he was also left disappointed, destroyed. Removing the planks one by one, he kept silent. Blood from his hand splattered across the room, staining the walls and the blood. It looked as if those spoiled warm hands desperately tried to grip at his back. Looking back, he saw the faces of the many who believed. Soon, he gripped the doorknob, hesitating to open the door and step into the decay of the outside world. Anybody would hesitate to step into a living hell. But the day has already broken. Who's to say he hasn't broken as well? Cinema. Horror cinema. Guys, I think we found our dude who caused this. Okay, so did something which I'm gonna say is an experiment, as I would have expected. Umbra did an experiment which caused the sun to die, and now When Day Breaks exists. Where does this take me? And this takes me to the very page we've been on this whole time. This is awesome. This has given us more information. Project Thalmiel. What is this? Though, I wonder if that's the name of the project then which caused the sun to explode. Is this Project Thalmiel? Further approval is necessary. Please enter password now. Does the black moon howl? Howl, you say? Is there a thing here which mentions howling? Hold up, I think I saw that. Hold the fuck up. I think I saw that. What did I say, Chad? What did I say? Links, 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 links. Howling. This is another thing I saw as I was scrolling through the list of 001 stuff. Something about howling. Something about the black moon. Does the black moon howl? And that... Hold on, because I'm pretty sure, another 001 entry. You could argue that the pages that on the start of this document, the pages that our dude is looking through, because it says he's looking through pages, right? He's rifled through the crumpled documents, the timeline beside him, he's printed a pile of papers, 24th to 24th page. So he's looking at pages, right? He's looking at pages, right? You could argue that bro is looking at Jonathan Ball's proposal, the sheath of papers. You could argue that he's looking at that. Do you see this, chat? I think most, if not all, of these proposals for 001 all linked back to the same thing. And for now, I mostly think they link back together with 001. Or the idea of just an apocalypse in general. If you think about the Scarlet King, okay, if you think about the Scarlet King reference, right, and from what I've seen, the Scarlet King is full on, like, bro is the demon, bro is Satan. Satan and stuff related to Satan refers to, you know, stuff related to cults and religions, which you can say links to stuff related to the end of days, the apocalypse, the end of the world. You know, in religions and beliefs, it's common to believe that when the world dies, when it's the end of the world, people will go to heaven or hell. Who's in hell? Satan. Scarlet King? Hello? So, like, I feel like the idea of SCP-001 itself is just the idea of death, the idea of the apocalypse, the idea of just the end of the world. Maybe that is what 001 is about. And maybe that's why there is no conclusive proper 001 entry. Because we just don't know. You could argue that these are all maybe even scenarios, or that some of these stuff have existed or happened already, with the case of When Day Breaks' submission, which then adds a special sense of weirdness with the fact that what if there's some time travel shenanigans going on? SCP-001 is nothing of it and all of it altogether. Exactly. It's a concept. 001 could be a concept, which is why there is no official 001 to date. Why? Because it's not in the database yet, because it hasn't happened yet, because it's not real yet. And so maybe these different references are sort of a warning or a sort of hint or a foreshadowing for the concept of the end of days, the end of the world. Because look at this, guys, we have the mention of the Scarlet King, right, which I would say is referencing the devil, especially if you look at the artwork for him. We get mentions of cult stuff, we get mentions of blood. We also have some references to God, okay? God, right? The story of your life. The throne of God. Touching eternity. Exit stage left. The conspiracy. The Piper at the gates of dawn. We already have a freaking gate guardian. Guys, I think we've found out what truly 001 is. Sinner, saint, apostle, Finn. Again, references to religion. The threads of fate. The darkness drops again. I think may have cracked what 001 truly is. I think I've cracked it, guys. I think we have collectively cracked this. All because of this. All because of this. All because of this. Our minds have been blown. Hold on, I want to read more on Project Thormiel though, because this may be the project which started this. But again, if this is a project which started this, and it's already happened, and it's been documented in the Foundation's files, time travel? Time travel? Time travel? Time travel, anyone? Is it possible that we've had some time travel shenanigans going on here? Because if this has happened, or you could say that this has happened in an alternate universe, and now in our universe we get these files given to us. Incorrect. Please enter the password now. Does the Black Moon howl? Let me in! Have access. You do not have access to file status Thormiel. Security will assist you shortly. Do not resist. Oh, wait. Bro is just one of many other members. Does any of these ever mention 001 again? Okay, this one mentions the sheaf of papers. Okay. Clavis. Project 001 Future Sight has been enacted and regarded as a success. Project 001. Future Sight. The future. Guys! Oh my god! And it looks like these members may have communication with the 05 Council that we heard about at the beginning, because some of these documents show these people. So cool. Guys, this is so much deeper than I ever thought it would be. Like, genuinely. Note how this is the final member in the list of these. It's the final member. And the very first member or entry in this shows and mentions Project 001 Future Sight. What did I say earlier, chat? That what if there's some time shenanigans here where these guys, the Foundation, finds this stuff out from the future and then documents it into the past, or brings it to them into the past for their own knowledge to prepare. You could argue that this is the Foundation's way to prepare for how to deal with situations like this. I feel like I called it. Wait, what? This is to... The date on the communique was listed as 2026 6/15. That's tomorrow. Examine the terminal at site. Brr. Copy text was sent through SCP. Wait. Regarded as a success, text was recovered by having SCP-187 examine the terminal at site redacted. Her copied text was then sent through 758 to correct it, and then translated by Dr. Immediate communication with 05 Council is enacted. Operation Thormiel is in full effect. Repeat, this is not a drill. Operation Thormiel is in full action. Do not disregard. Repeat. Emergency blah 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 blah. Operation Thormiel is in full action. Chat, am I overthinking this? Her copied text, aka Logan's, from site wherever she is. Dude, just to let you know, chat, we haven't even gone to the bottom of this yet. Guys, her copied text could be referencing Dr. Logan from the future in whichever site that she was posted in before the end. I'm telling you, I think this may be it. But if it is her copy text, she must have written this, like, before she killed herself, right? Because then, oh my god. And then this is what was recovered from the communication. And I cried unto the Ephesians, the Smyrnanites, the Pergamonians, the Thyatiratans, the Sardinians, the Philadelphians, and the Laodiceans to hear my cry, and they have heard it not. For the Ephesians, ye are unto sowers of chaos and ruin, and so thou shalt reap. For thou hast strayed from the path, the true path, and shall receive none of my glory. The hand of God will smite thee, and thine power shall be as sand, and the strength of your arms shall be as straw, which, when smote, is broken. And ye, Smyrnanites, truly thou art of the hands of the adversary, consorting with demons in thine great hidden place, where eyes seek but do not find. I wonder if this is relating to the cult activities or the ritual that she was doing. Oh, wait! Oh my god, Chad, what if you remember, doesn't it say that she was laying on the ground writing something? Could she have been saying this? Could be a theory, could be a little idea here. Alas, ye Pergamonians, to thou the name has been given, and thou hast heard it not. Ye have turned to the cog and wheel, and written a new name upon it, and sought God there. But he is not there, for he is above and not of your hands. The abomination that thou hast sought to craft will be no more, and its blood and body will be as a river of copper and brass. Lo, Philadelphians, thou Philadelphians, what? Isn't that a city in Pennsylvania? Thou hear not my words or my will, for you do not listen. Your hands have turned upon themselves, and your creations are abominations and sin in the eyes of God. Truly, thou art of sinful heart and mind, given only to the works of evil and the mad, and shall not thine sins find thee out. I wonder if that's referencing the experiments that the SCP Foundation were doing. Could that be referencing towards the Foundation? Ye churches of the world, hear mine voice and tremble. The gates are open, the seals are broken, the trumpets have sounded. We are riding forth. I think I was right, chat. I think SCP-001 is the concept of the end of days. Okay, before I end off theory crafting, we're gonna read this final entry. So, earlier, I cannot believe that I just pressed this one simple, surely you, and then it takes us to this whole rabbit hole of events that has made us theorize so much upon the existence of 001. But from where we last left off, we've read everything, we're about to leave, but then we get an update in real time, and it updates. The entry updates, and it says this. Item: saffron skies raise the blazing sun. A chance encounter, awkward displays. One day, my love, we'd be as one. Object class. With two entwined, a set course. Begun that frenetic, wild, lustrous haze. Azure skies host the radiant sun. Special containment procedures. Above us beaming as we run down that aisle. A fervent craze that day, my love. We became as one. With future unfolded the life we'd won. Commitment and duty for the family we'd raise. Cerulean skies ferry the shimmering sun. Description: buried, shackled by fate, overrun by ever-growing resent and malaise. Yesterday, my love, we were as one. Now, you lie here. The life in you gone. In the dark outside of her rays, Crimson skies bear the torch, our sun. Today, my love, we'll be as one. And there is an image, again, of 001. Without your prompting, the page begins playing a video file. You freeze when the image loads. It's a live feed, looking down on you from behind, about a foot away. A skeletal, inky left hand enters the frame, approaching you at a snail's pace. It's missing its ring finger. Without a second thought, you turn and fire in a frenzy, hoping to drive off the spectre. Your bullets meet an empty wall. There's nothing there. A second passes before you hear it. Before you hear them. Sloshing, wet thuds coming down the corridor, accompanied by a chorus of screams. It slams into the door. Could there be a place to hide? It strikes a second time. What appears to be a face, part human, part something, dribbles in under the frame. Bits of flesh from God knows what oozes in through the sides and reconstitutes into fingers, eyes, feathers. A third. Now it's pressing up against the wood, causing it to sag inwards. With a groan and a crash, the wood splinters, the door explodes open. Hands and arms stretch out of the mass, pulling you up, passing you from one to the next, and on down the line. They drag you past the empty containment units, upwards and through the stairwell, through the halls and towards the tunnel. You are afforded a few precious moments in the darkness. And at the end of the tunnel, there is light. Logan? Her death didn't matter. They somehow maybe got her alive. I really think that the sun itself turned into an entity because of the event, and now has that control in controlling the little slime monsters to do its will. Again, the idea of a hive mind. Maybe that's how it was controlling the camera, right? This poem could be the sun itself speaking to our MC here. And now it looks like the hand, so those monsters grabbed you past the empty containment units and through the cell, through the halls, and it's dragging you to the light. So just like what the thing happened with Logan when she saw, people being dragged into the light, that same thing has now happened to our MC here, who is Umbra. It has happened to Umbra. And now he himself is turning into one of those things. And that is how it ends. Okay, so that was When Day Breaks. First of all, I'd like to say what a fantastically scary apocalyptic story. I loved reading and going through that. You really get a sense of how, everything is just effed up. We're living in this time where the world is doomed. Everyone has turned into these weird slime flesh monsters because of the sunlight from 001, which is now this killer sun, and how everyone is just trying to survive in these last moments. The story of Dr. Igota is so tragic. The progression of how we start off seeing her trying to stay sane through all of this, but then slowly as she loses, like Ari for example, her life loses meaning, and so she has to even go to the extremes of having to unfortunately take her own life in this process. It's heartbreaking, and I feel like apocalyptic stories have that sort of idea where what's more left to do in a situation like this? How is it possible to come back from it all? So you can also, unfortunately, kind of understand where all of these people come from when it comes to this situation. But yeah, this was just honestly so creepy to read, and so intriguing to read through as well. Again, I used to know about When Day Breaks a lot, but I never dived deep into the entry of it and the story of it, so it was really nice to go over it this time. But now, obviously, coming to the end here, we've not only sort of read through When Day Breaks and went through it all and analysed it all, but we've accidentally sort of, or I have at least, come up with a sort of theory on the true identity of 001. So let's explain that again in a more orderly fashion. I know back on stream then, when I was doing it, it all was clicking in at the time, and honestly, I kid you not, I was, I think, going insane from the amount of deep dives we were doing with different documents, the way the story linked us to different things. I think that's such a smart, cool way to sort of expand the story of When Day Breaks to encompass the whole entirety of what 001 in general could be. So let's start off by talking about my theory of what 001 is. I believe at the end of the day that 001, SCP-001, refers to the event of the apocalypse, aka the end of everything, aka Judgment Day, Heaven and Hell, God and the Devil. That's my big theory right now. I believe that 001 is just that idea of the end of everything, of death, in a way. And that, not only that, but it also encompasses all of, or at least most of the entries that we find in the wiki, i.e. they are all related in some way. Again, we first saw that idea when we pressed the footnote in one of the entries in the When Day Breaks story, which then takes us to SCP-475, this soap that has the effect of taking away all foreign particles off of someone's body when interacted with water. However, it has a very specific effect on people with a certain religion, and an even more concerning effect on people with para-religions. And again, in that time, we saw a link to Children of the Scarlet King. And in that entry, when they experimented on someone with the Scarlet King denotion, the water that they used with the soap turned into blood and also transformed the individual into a massive squid. Honestly insane. But the key thing here is blood in this specific part, because remember, Dr. Agota pours blood into a bowl. Now, I did a little bit of proofreading on the Scarlet King entry for 001, and in that entry, they do mention about blood, and that according to a certain Poll 3172, there are 3 things to understand about the Scarlet King. 3 laws which, when put together, make up a complete picture. One law is of blood. And in the entry there, it also mentions that the law of blood was his law, aka the Scarlet King. And obviously you heard me in the video mention this, but I denote the Scarlet King with the idea that he is the sort of satanic devil in all of this, right? So if that is what the Scarlet King could be, then I can see why there is a link there to the idea of, again, the afterlife, Judgment Day, the end of the apocalypse, and everything that dies. I will say my theory right now with the idea of this apocalypse thing can also be branched into many different aspects, because it's, again, the idea of just the end of days, right? And of course, this is sort of a in a way, religious view with how, many religions obviously believe that when it's the end of the world, we have all these events happening, then there's Judgment Day, then there's heaven and hell, God and the devil. So it's really broad, but also big in a way. Another thing too, and this relates to the Scarlet King as well, maybe, is that, and I think I mentioned this in the video too, that look at the description or the pictures that we have, or the artwork that we have even, of When Day Breaks. What does the scenery show? It shows, many of the SCP-001A creatures just in the color red, these flesh-type monsters, and what about 001 in general, the sun as well? Like, a lot of stuff related to that shows just the sun beaming its light with a sort of reddish, hellish-like sky. And the Scarlet King, and the color scarlet in general, is that sort of hellish red color. So you could even argue, if you really want to go crazy, that could the Scarlet King have done something to the sun, and maybe they're involved in all of this to cause When Day Breaks to occur? It's a wild idea, but again, those links, those tiny links, which could be massive in this. Now, I've already mentioned how the Scarlet King could be a mention of the devil, right? But what about the opposite of that? What about God? Now, there are some entries which do mention in the 001 files, which do mention God. Entries like Sprite Bennon's entry, God's Blind Spot. Stuff like Nico's proposal talking about the throne of God. Equally, we also have other mentions of hell, like Yoshihide's mention of a portrait of hell. So you can, again, start to see the links here with how all of these entries may be encompassing the same general, overall, broad idea. Now, I also want to go back and talk about Umbra. Again, we found the Umbra page because of one of the entries in the story, which, by the way, is just a simple U that's highlighted in the story, referring to the MC in this situation. Just a simple one-word U. We press it and it takes us to Umbra. And I would say Umbra is, and when we looked into Umbra, is when we really went even deeper in the rabbit hole to come up with this theory and helped to surmise this theory in general. So again, Umbra mentions 001, how it is an event which caused the sun to collapse. Which is so interesting to think about, because if that is the case, then A, the sun has died, and what's happened is that it has become an evil sun, or that the sun has died and it has been replaced by the evil sun, which, now that I think about it, they're both are kind of the same thing worded, right? But yeah, it's that idea that this Umbra dude, I don't know if that denotes a certain researcher that is involved in Project Thamiel, which is what this comes under. I don't know if Umbra is a person in this. I don't know if it's just the name of the document. I don't fully know. But if I, in my headcanon right now, I think Umbra is a sort of codename maybe for the researcher who may have very well caused the When Day Breaks outbreak to occur. The idea that after he reads this update for 001 regarding the sun, he goes insane, saying that it wasn't his fault that the world died. Again, alluding to that idea that he or Umbra may have had a role in this. And then, of course, Umbra comes under the Project Thamiel. Umbra is also the final list of names or entries in the Project Thamiel page when you go onto the wiki, which is also very sus, because if it's the last entry and it mentions 001 When Day Breaks, then it could be plausible that, this dude did something, caused the event which ultimately leads to the apocalypse of the planet. And then this obviously expands into Project Thamiel as a whole. What is Project Thamiel? Project Thamiel is a project or an experiment started by the Foundation after the success of Project 001 Future Sight, as mentioned in Clavis, which is the first list of entries in the Project Thaumiel page. And I feel like this one is also so interesting to read through, where it mentions, first of all, Future Sight. The idea, and I sort of mentioned this in the video as well when we were analyzing it, that maybe the Foundation somehow did a sort of time paradox or went into the future to understand about the future, I guess, of the Foundation, or the secrets that may lie about 001. And so, it is highly plausible that going into the future, they find this scenario where the apocalypse has happened, where when day breaks has been unleashed. They also mentioned that they recovered her copied text. And I believe strongly that her could be a reference to Dr. Agota, where in some way, shape or form, Dr. Agota may have, written down her mumblings and ramblings, because it mentions in the story with When Day Breaks that as she goes and deteriorates, she starts mumbling things, she starts writhing in her sleep, saying nonsense ramblings, which, by the way, is also related to possibly the ritual that she then eventually did with the blood. If that is the case, then whatever she was saying or whatever she was going through may be related to the idea of this sort of apocalyptic scenario of how it is the coming of the end of days. It's like a warning, possibly, of the end of days. And in the communication that they received from her, supposedly, it mentions this. It mentions this idea. As you read through it, it's very much written in that style of like a sort of religious text, as if a god was writing this. And again, at the end, they mention, ye churches of the world, hear mine voice and tremble, the gates are open, the seals are broken, the trumpets have sounded, we are riding forth. That idea of the end of days, the rapture coming, right? Again, coming and encompassing that idea that 001 is the apocalypse. Now, I didn't discover this on the stream that day, but if you read at the bottom of this Clavis entry, you get another link where also the end of the file sort of gets corrupted with that godlike speech embedded in the do not disregard message at the bottom. And there's also a link there, which is highlighted. And if you press that link, it takes you to another 001 SCP entry. This one being the Gates Guardian, which is also another entry I've heard about when it comes to 001. And if we think about it, it's highly known from many religions that the idea that, there's the gates of heaven and we have these angels which are guarding them. So this could be proposing that idea, the idea of the afterlife, the idea of heaven and hell, right? And again, linking this to other 001 entries. The idea here is that, and in this theory that I have, is that all of 001 entries, or most of them, are connected in some sort of way. They have a shared story. Now, going back to Project Thaumiel, if we are to believe or assume that the texts are from Dr. Agota from When Day Breaks' entry, and that if they recovered this information from Project Future Sight related to the stuff from When Day Breaks and that story, which is also linked with what happened with Umbra, which is the final list in the Project Thaumiel files, do we think that there could also be a sort of time paradox, a sort of time loop here? It's very peculiar, isn't it, that Clavis is the first entry in the files, which we assume takes information from When Day Breaks to begin Project Thaumiel, and then the final entry is Umbra, where it is set at a time where When Day Breaks is supposedly unleashed. Is there a time loop here? Is there a time paradox? I think it is very possible. Or it is the idea that this is going on in many different multiverses. Like, this goes insane, honestly. It may even to the point seem kind of stupid and crazy, but you know what? That's what theories are about. But it could be highly possible. The ideas of multiple universes existing in the SCP universe is a thing, I believe, or could be a thing, because, again, I proofread the Scarlet King entry a little bit, and the idea of the Scarlet King, right, is that, from what I know, or from my limited understanding, is that this is a godlike demon entity that travels between different dimensions. Could it be possible that the Scarlet King is doing this stuff in many different places, if we are also to assume that the Scarlet King is involved with the When Day Breaks scenario, with the Crimson Sky and the lights and all that stuff? Could this be a recurring thing that's happened over and over and over, time and time again? And if so, then what is the final goal of what Project Thamiel is? Is Project Thamiel failing every time? Are they trying to prevent the apocalypse? We've got to remember the whole premise behind the SCP, Secure, Contain, and Protect, is that protect part. It is the idea that they want to protect humanity from these anomalies and these events and these entities. Could the Foundation be doing these scenarios or discovering these scenarios over and over again in this time loop to sort of find a way to prevent this from happening? It is a possibly plausible outcome. An outcome which unfortunately has not happened yet, and may honestly never happen, to be fair, which may be the rough and unfortunate part about this. They could be doing this forever and still never get the same outcome. It's like doing a simulation over and over again. Because again, how can you stop something when it hasn't even happened yet? Again, a lot of paradox type stuff going on here. It's honestly crazy. It really makes you think, doesn't it? It's sort of one of those things that really sticks with you, because it's sort of bordering into the idea of existential dread, right? The idea of, oh, the end of the world is coming, the end of days is coming, and we are powerless to stop it. Maybe that too is what 001 is all about. It is the idea of that death, that hopelessness, that idea that we cannot stop something that we have no control over. And maybe that's what 001 is. 001 could be the one thing, the one idea, the one event, the one anomaly, the one entity that cannot be contained. Because at the end of the day, even IRL, we gotta remember that we are also going to perish at some point, and that's something that is unavoidable. That's just life. It's so ironic when we think about the SCP Foundation as this organization which deals with these entities and anomalies which are stuff that contradicts the normal laws of nature. But if we think about 001 as the apocalypse, that, weirdly enough, is part of nature because things die. It's really deep to think about, isn't it? But guys, with that, I'm gonna stop there. Oh my god, my brain is exhausted from thinking about this a lot. I've been thinking about this a lot, at least these past few days. Even very recently, after that one stream we did, I did another stream where I did a sort of deep dive into my theories, trying to contain my ideas and thoughts down. Because there is so much. There is genuinely so much to this. And there's obviously probably a lot of stuff that I haven't even mentioned yet. Like, for example, you know, the O5 Council. What does the O5 Council have in all of this? What do maybe some of the other specific entries in the SCP-001 database have in this theory? There's honestly too much to go through, but can I just say, I have probably never deep dived this hard before in my life in anything, but that this was also a ton of fun. Again, this is just a theory. Again, nothing is canon in the SCP universe. But it's just, well, I like that because it just makes you think about a lot of things and it lets you make a lot of questions and arguments to stuff. It is a sort of way for us to come up with crazy, wacky theories like this. And so, I enjoyed this a lot. I had a lot of fun going through this. I don't know if you guys also agree with me on this theory. You obviously may not either, and that's fine. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm going to stick to this idea, cause why not? But I really hope you guys enjoyed this deep dive, this long deep dive into what started as me just talking about 001 when day breaks, but ends with me just talking about 001's idea as a whole. It's again just crazy how deep this goes. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Your support really helps me out, and I would absolutely be down to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think about this theory, or what more information you may want to provide that could help me understand more about 001 in general. I'd love to hear it. And as a reminder too, all of the footage today was mostly live streamed, and the link to where I do my live streams will be in the description below, which is on Twitch. Just as a reminder as well, every Sunday we do SCP Sundays where we go live and just talk about SCP entries. I would love to have you guys around. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here. I am exhausted. Thank you so much for coming to the end of this video if you have, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Bye bye!